Hello. In this video we are going to learn how to do some more advanced math and use something called the math class, which is really fun. To do this, we're going to make a calculator that is going to find for us the circumference and area of a circle. So to start with, we're going to make a new Python file, and I'm going to call it Circle Calculator. And I'm going to write a comment at the top. This program will take as an input the radius of a circle. It will calculate the diameter, area, and the circumference, and print it to the screen. Excellent. So, the first thing I'm going to have to do with this is I'm going to have to actually take an input for the radius. So I'm going to print, and I'm going to start off with a welcome to the circle calculator, and then I'm going to say r equals input the radius. Now I'm going to come down here, I'm going to put a print, I'm going to put end program. That's going to just let me know that the program's run to the end. So if I run this right now, I should just get this thing, welcome to the circle calculator, input radius for end program. Okay, well, we can figure out the diameter easy enough, so I can say d equals r divided by 2. So I can print the radius, the diameter is d. So I'm going to run this, and if I put in 4, the diameter is 2, perfect. Let's do a couple other test cases. 6, the diameter is 3, nice. Do one more, 10, the diameter is 5, awesome. Now, what would be the problem if I stopped my testing? Have you noticed anything about the numbers that I've used so far? They've all been even numbers. So watch. If I run this, and I input 5, the diameter is 2, which is wrong. And this is where integer division has kind of reared its ugly head, even though it's a wonderful thing once you get to know it. So what's happening is, because I've inputted 5 as an integer, Python assumes that r is an integer, so when it says r divided by 2, it's going to divide two integers and chop off the decimals. So there's a couple ways to solve this. I could multiply by 1.0, because that's going to, like I said, when it evaluates this, it's going to say, oh, I have a float times an integer, therefore the result's going to be a float. But if I just write 2, instead of 2 I put 2.0, now it's going to think that's a float, so if I run this, and I put in 5, my radius is 2.5. Awesome. So, let's find the area. So the area is pi r squared. Okay. So, pi I could put 3.14, right? Or I could go online and find a really long approximation of pi. So I could say 3.14 times r times r, right? That's pi r squared. And therefore I could print the area is area. And I run this. The diameter is 5, the area is 314, which is correct. Now this is not perfect, because 3.14 is an approximation of pi, so it's not great. So let's look at a couple ways we could fix this. Okay, the first fix is I could use 22 divided by 7. 22 divided by 7 turns out to be a good approximation of pi. So nice one to keep in the back of your head. Now again, I know I sound like a broken record, but integer division issues. watch, 22 divided by 7. If I run this, and I put in 10 again, I get 300. And the reason is right there. 22 divided by 7. Everything on that line is an integer, so it's going to think that the result is an integer, so it's going to chop off those decimals. So I'm going to say 22.0 divided by 7. And I run that, and I put 10. Look at that, I get a nicer approximation. Perfect. So, what's better than that? It turns out that Python has a whole collection of math tools. The math tools are stored in the math class. Now this is the first time I've used the word class in this video set. Think of a class as a collection of tools. A class is another word that people will use to describe a program. So the math class is a Python program that is included with Python that has all sorts of useful things. Now the thing is though, I have to include a command right at the top of my program if I want to use it. And what it is an import statement. So what I'm going to go do is I'm going to go right to the top and I'm going to write the word import and I'm going to put the word math. And what this does is this says, hey, I want my program to be able to use a whole bunch of extra tools. And so now the question is, how do I find those tools? Once you've included this line up here, I'm going to click down here. Watch what happens when I type the word math. I put a dot. Look at them all. These are all these different things we can do with the math class. A lot of them are going to be a little bit odd to you, but you might be able to guess what that one is. That will find the square root of x. This one will find the power of x to the power of y. And look at that. There's pi. So, if instead of putting 22 over 7, I come here and I put math.pi, that is going to use a saved value of pi that is probably more accurate than anything you can put in. So now if I run this and put the radius is 67. The area is, and again, we probably put here units squared. Now let's figure out the circumference. So the circumference is 2 pi r. So I'm going to say 2 times, and to access the stored value of pi, I'm going to say math.pi times r. And I'm going to print the area, the circumference is circ units. Now the temptation here, just to kind of highlight this, is people are going to want to highlight one line and then paste it and then change it. I really strongly recommend you type in everything. It's a little slower now. It's going to help you remember things. I haven't said this yet, but I'm going to take a moment to say it now. People get really nervous that there's a whole bunch to memorize as programmers. There isn't. You will just naturally remember certain things, but don't get caught up thinking you have to memorize everything, because what a programmer is really good at is going out and finding the resources. You can always go online, you can always look things up. So let's imagine I wanted to do a little bit more reading about the math class in Python. In the first video I talked about documentation, and this is an example of some documentation that tells you all about the various tools in the math class you can use. To find it, you simply do a Google search and you go math class and Python, and it should pop up as one of the first ones. Now to go back here, just highlight, look at that, you have a math class for Python 2 and a math class for Python 3. Make sure you're in Python 2. Okay? I'm not going to get into this right now, but it's good to know that it's there. What I am going to do though, is I'm going to use one more piece from my math class. And you see here I have r times r. That's the same as r squared. So instead of using r times r, I'm going to use the math tool pow. So I'm going to say math dot, and you'll see how they all pop up. Pow. And the way pow works is pow is going to take the first thing to the power of the second thing. So if I say here, I'm going to say r to the power of 2. And if I run this now, input the radius 12.345, the diameter is 6.1725, the area is unit squared, the circumference is that. Let's make one little fix before I end this video. I hope this helped. In our next video, we're going to look a little more closely at the math class and how to use it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.